guide and shape and help them experience the things that you want them to believe, so that they will come to believe them by doing them. So, what makes the difference then between any organization in the world that has all of that and the very best ones? And the answer to that is really principles. So what I want to do is just take a few minutes to discuss with you, what is it about a principle that makes it so powerful? And how does a principle change the way we think about our behaviors? And what do you need to know about principles as a leader? I appreciate very, very much that most of your models, as I saw all the different variations of them, most of your models just have a place in there for the principles, and many of you had them right at the foundation, which is wonderful. What I'd like to challenge you to do as we leave here today, is to spend more time thinking about and understanding the deeper meaning of what those principles really are. Because we know that we can't keep doing the same things that we've been doing. Previous generations have already proven that to us. We have to change the things that we talk about and the things that we do. It can't be just this. So we have to focus on principles. So a principle, in its basic term, is a foundational rule. It's a fundamental rule that governs a consequence, or has an inevitable consequence. So if I do this, I will get this. A principle is at the root, at that foundation. So, the reason that principles help, the reason they make a difference is because when we understand the rule, they help us to see both the positive and the negative consequences of our behavior. If I understand the principle, I can see. Because it's always true, and I can depend on it to always be true, no matter whether I'm in Germany, or whether I'm in Dearborn, or whether I'm in Querétaro, or San Luis Potosí. When I follow the principle, or when I pay attention to the principle, these things happen. So if I do this, this will happen. If I do this, this will happen. We call that being informed. Principles inform our behavior. They inform our choices about how we behave when we understand the principle. And that's different than a tool. A tool is for solving a problem, or solving a particular, accomplishing a particular task. Or a system is a way in which we do something, but a principle is a fundamental rule that governs a consequence, that when we understand it, it helps us to know how to choose our behavior, our actions. Now that's a pretty powerful thing. If all 300 or 100 or 50 or 2 people in your organization, it makes no difference how many, but if every one of them understood the fundamental rules that govern the outcome of our actions, and they're thinking about that before they choose how to act, think how powerful that can be in creating a powerful culture where every single person is contributing at their full potential, because they're thinking and acting of their own free will. They're making choices based on understanding and knowledge, not direction and policy and procedure. So, here's what we did this past year that for me, and I think for us, was challenging. For the last few years, people have said to us, so as we go through these 10 guiding principles of operational excellence, occasionally, most people will smile and nod and say, yeah, I got it. Good, let's move ahead. It makes sense to them. But occasionally, we'll be blessed and someone will challenge us. We'll say, wait a minute, I'm not sure I believe that that's a principle or not. So we've actually over the years spent many, many hours debating very smart people, usually with degrees in philosophy or something. And it's forced us to really answer the question, what makes a principle a principle? What makes it universal? What makes it timeless? What makes it govern an outcome or a consequence? So this is a conversation that most people haven't had. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to pick some examples and ask you to help me with this. So, truth is a simple statement of fact. It's transcendent, it's a fundamental reality, it's the foundation, or it's the root from which other things can be inferred or hypothesized or other principles can spring. So it's a fundamental truth that sits, what we discovered, at the answer to the question why around a principle. So, for example, why should we respect every individual? Why would you do that? I want to hear some answers from you. Why do you think we should respect every individual? Why? Why not abuse every individual? Why not take advantage of it? It's a right that they have. What gives them that right? Because they're human beings. So, because every single person has intrinsic value and infinite potential, therefore, we respect every individual. So when you think about respect, think about it because of that. Because every single person is a human being. We're not animals. Because we're human beings, we have intrinsic, built inside of us is value, intrinsic value. And every one of us has infinite potential. Therefore, we respect every single one of them. So, you as leaders, when you think about this principle and its impact on your organization, ask yourself, well, before I ask that question, let me just tell you, I was recently leading a study tour of a group of executives in another country. And this was a developing country. And one of the main purposes of our study group was to see how different companies interpreted the principle of respect for the people that worked for them. And we saw in that week that we visited about 12 or 13 companies, we saw a spectrum from one end to the other. And every one of them said that they respected the people that worked there. But I can tell you their version of respect was very, very, very different. And it came not from well, they were very different. I can't actually explain where it came from. But some of them, it was clear, felt like if they treated them in a certain way, they could get more out of them. They would work harder, they would get better results, costs would go down, they would get improvement ideas submitted if I treated them in a certain way. Now, what's wrong with that interpretation of respect for every individual, do you think? That sounds like a pretty good deal. Is there anything wrong with that? Why am I acting in a certain way? Why am I treating them in a certain way? Because I want something back for me. So my motivation is not about them. My motivation is about me, or my company, or my stewardship, or my accountability. So if I want this, I have to do this. And so I would describe that as somewhere about maybe a third of the way up the scale. And the very far end of the scale was, we observed leaders who respected people not so that they could get something back, but because they were human beings that deserved their respect. They deserved to be treated in a certain way because they had value. And they had potential that they felt a responsibility to help these people to realize that potential. So there is a spectrum to every one of these principles in terms of the depth of our understanding and our personal conviction. So, why respect every individual? Because everyone has intrinsic value and infinite potential. This is what Aiki Toyota said about that. Employees are offering a very important part of their lives to us. If we don't use their time wisely, we are wasting their lives. We're wasting their lives. There are companies that I am privileged to be able to visit regularly who are for-profit corporations, but they never talk about their money and their profit goals or their margins inside their company. They talk about the people and how to develop the people and how to help the people get the most out of their work experience when they come. How to make their lives meaningful when they come to work. That's what drives the corporation. They know, of course, that when they do that, the outcome of that will be great results for the business. But what turns them on is the light that they see in the eyes of the people when they work with them. Okay, let's pick another one. Lead with humility. These are the two that are at the bottom of our pyramid, and these are the two that are first and most obviously connected with culture and people. So let me ask this question. Why do we lead with humility? Why would we do that? I gave you a hint this morning. Say it again. You don't have all of the answers, right? We don't have very many answers, so we must be humble, okay? Why else?
Get support.
To what?
Get the support.
To get support, okay? We lead with humility so people will see that we value their input and they will support us, help us, okay? All of those are good ones. All those are about me. We lead with humility for those reasons and because growth requires vulnerability. Remember I said when we started the day off, open yourself up and become vulnerable. Consider the possibility that no matter what you've done or how hard you've worked, you might see a better idea, which means maybe what we've done isn't good enough. Maybe there's a better way, and I need to go back and relook at what we have done. That's your willingness to do that and to consider the possibility that there is another way is being vulnerable. And those are the moments when we really grow. Because I was thinking about this morning. In my own little team, we have maybe 15 or 16 employees at the Shingo Institute at the university. And in spite of my ability, in spite of my passion, and my ability to teach and communicate these concepts, applying them in my own little team is very different. And we have a small mutiny going on right now with some of the employees who are not happy about something. And when I saw the email that came last night, just last night, I have to tell you, I felt defensive and I felt